Okay, so this week we're doing give us a situation where the pilots didn't think that it would be worthy to fly corporate. So you said um, give some basically pros and cons of which one would be the best. So I did some pros and cons with road travel. It's cheap. You don't have to have any need for taxis because you can just drive there. That's kind of helpful. I know a lot of people don't think about that, but it really adds up. Cons is it's time consuming. You have to have multiple stops for fuel and restroom breaks. Possible hotel costs along the route. So depending on how far you have to go, you might have to get a hotel for the night and stuff like that because um, it's hard to drive very far. I guess you could switch out drivers depending on what kind of vehicle you could have, if you sleep in there or not. But the next I did airlines. The pros for that is faster than road travel. Obviously, it's also less expensive than corporate. Depending on how many people you have, at some point corporate would probably be cheaper than doing this. So the cons: possible layovers, always layovers in planes. So more expensive than road travel. Um, yeah, it's more expensive. That sucks. You have to go through TSA and stuff like that, so it takes time. You have to have scheduled time, so you have to get on the plane when they tell you to get on the plane. Not you can leave and do whatever you want or whatever. So they only go to certain airports. So if there's a smaller airport that's closer to where your destination is, you probably aren't going to it. So you have to get a taxi or something. So this corporate, um, this is kind of prime. You can leave whenever. It could mean no hotels. There's no layovers, hopefully, depending on weather. There may always be layovers. More luxury, you got seat space and stuff like that. So you're kind of with your company and your peers. So a little bit more like sociability, I guess you could say. And it can go to almost any airport. I mean, obviously not the like dinkiest private airports, but um, as long as you have a decent runway, you can probably go to it. So the cons: this is the most expensive, and obviously, as stated, the pilots don't think it's worth it. So for me, it really boils down to how many people I have. If I have, um, 10 or more people, yeah, I'm probably going to go to the airlines just because it's hard to get vehicles and then it's time consuming and time is money once it comes down to it again. So, and people just don't want to drive. Also depends on how far it is too. Airlines, you know, pretty good way to go. Like I said, at some point, corporate would be cheaper depending on the plane. If you had a big enough plane for as many people and to make it actually worth it, then yeah, it would be worth it. Um, so for me, I would probably go with airlines. That's what I would recommend because the pilots don't think it's worth enough. The pilots say that you don't think it's worth it to do it. So obviously they're saying that for a reason. They put some thought into it. So I would probably go airline route.